The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki. Hello, here I am. Welcome to the show. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. Fresh off the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Recording this on Monday morning. Got back from New Orleans to St. Louis after I haven't been in St. Louis for a couple weeks now, but landed at, I think, 9 a.m. Took off
like an hour
7.
ago.
Yeah, and I took a nap, so I'm freshly out of
Good.
a nap. I don't even know what happened.
Still, the stupor.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing sunglasses right now because I have indents in my face from the sleep mask. I was going real hard, and my face is real puffed up and just like really collect like a memory foam mattress, collecting like every little touch of things. So I have the sunglasses on. Just ate too much salt this weekend. Just been not taking care of myself.
Super Bowl, out of all the holidays, first of all, the Super Bowl I think is the second most American holiday. It's like really defines America.
After Halloween or something.
July
4th of
4th
July?
probably is number one.
Oh, that's kind of American.
Maybe Thanksgiving's number 2. But it's top 3. Super Bowl should be a national holiday. But I would say that you're right. I think out of all of the holidays, Super Bowl is the most salt food consumed holiday.
Saltiest.
Yeah, even if you try to eat healthy, that's what healthy is they just put lots of salt and sugar and things, and then it's like fat free, and everyone thinks it's fine.
It's all a bunch of
because
bullshit.
we are all still brainwashed from the 90s when fat was the enemy. And
Remember
why wouldn't it be? It's called
SnackWells?
fat, and you're trying not to be fat.
Yeah.
No fat phobia here. I mean, like, the culture says you shouldn't be fat, and then the thing there's an ingredient in food called fat. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when you were listening to the radio and there is an option. I always, as a kid, was like, why is there an option to turn down one instrument? Like, why is there only an option to turn down the bass guitar? Like, why isn't, and then the treble, like, I don't even know what the treble was, but I was like, there's 2 instruments that they're like, some people just don't want them in their music. and to me, the bass it's not always the bass guitar, but a lot of times the sound of bass is a bass guitar. And it's the same thing as like it's named for a thing that it doesn't represent. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Kind of. Anyway, ate a lot of salt this weekend because I like soy sauce and I like Skinny Pop and I like mustard and I had a pretzel and
mix it all up, put it in a bag, eat it up.
Yeah,
It's called a New Orleans sandwich.
Then I ate a lot of fruit because that's like all they have at the game is like if you're vegan, it's like a pretzel is the only vegan thing, and it's probably not has butter on it, but like what am I gonna do? I just can't.
Yeah, it's not real butter. It's probably spray butter, fake oil, probably hydrogenized fats. It's probably not even. Probably is
hydrogenated soybean oil. Okay, yeah, that's right. Thank you for making me feel better about it. You know, like I'm trying to be. There's no way
they're spending money on butter.
A great vegan, but you're right. It probably is fake. So it's just like gross. How was
the Superdome? So you went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not but one day ago. Actually, less than 12 hours ago.
I wasn't in hair and makeup for the Super Bowl yet at this time yesterday. I had a long day ahead of me. So you went to the glorious
Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. How was that? They say that that's one of the best stadiums in the country. And now you've been to a lot.
I have been to a lot, and I've actually been there for Taylor Swift. Yeah, I saw Eras tour there, and I saw a lot of footage of it during the flood. Which, do they name the flood? Was there a hurricane? Was it named? What was it named? Oh, Katrina.
Oh, like in 2004?
Eve, I think it was 5. But yeah, Katrina. I saw 5. That like kind of that's always stuck in my head. That you saw it coming. Yeah. You're like Tate McRae with the score.
Whoa, wait, what?
Tate McRae predicted the score.
No,
the Eagles were going to win, and the score would be 40-22.
You kidding me?
She predicted it in December on a TikTok.
How did she do that? What?
She was just like randomly guessing. I mean, that's
not even like a score that happens. 22 is like
she goes
never
40 and 22. And
are you serious?
She's
exactly
like the
right.
Eagles. Yeah,
what?
In December. It's
but
it's
she didn't
wild.
say against the Chiefs, or did she? Just
No, that would have been cool.
Unbelievable! Wow,
it was really cool.
And she's not even American; she's from Canada.
Yeah,
and
these Canadians.
She goes, "Is this a football thing?" Like she didn't even understand like what she was being asked.
Oh
she just
my
picked random
God.
numbers.
Well, that makes me like Tate McRae more.
The dome was like, I'm gonna be honest, like fine. I can't really compare it to other places. Like I really like an outdoor stadium, so that's always just changes things. And I am so anti-turf now after watching a 9-minute video I stumbled across on my Instagram the other day.
The players hate the turf.
Why are we playing on it then?
Greed. Sheer greed. It's because it's annoying to take care of grass, even though they have new technological advancements that make it easier to roll out a grass field. They find it annoying to take care of grass. It's expensive to make grass grow. It's just like having a lawn on your front yard. You know how hard it is to keep that grass green and nice?
There's like 68% more injuries on turf.
No, it's
all of the players hate it. They compare it to playing on concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this other thing. I didn't watch the whole video, but it seems like there's like they can't really even complain about it because they'll get in trouble for even saying anything bad about it.
Yeah,
so
it's
just
like Black
like
Lives
this.
Matter.
It's crazy. They can't take a knee because they're scared of it's going to hurt.
They're going to slip.
The goddamn turf.
That's right.
But like, they'll just get there's non-contact injuries, which I didn't even know was a thing. It's like when you're running and you just twist your ankle because of like a ghost.
Or not even. That's what happened to Aaron Rodgers last year. You're just kind of like, sometimes it's people on the sidelines. And it happened to our good friend and compatriot Mike Gibbons had a non-contact injury where that's where most Achilles tears happen. It's not even when you're playing. It's not even when you're getting tackled. It's not even a twist. It's just like when you start to run and all of a sudden it pops.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, that really upset me reading that. I'm just like, so like the players can't even complain about it because they know they'll never win. Yeah. And they just don't want to spend the extra money on it. It's like what I've been saying. It's what I said about, there's some kind of, about paying the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Make the cups, make a large soda $1 extra, and then just put that towards getting grass.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't. If they made a large soda $1 more, they'd give it to Jerry Jones so he can have another private jet that he doesn't fly. Or what, it's like it doesn't even go towards anything useful.
This is what our entire country's problem is. I mean,
what's wrong with everyone? I can't even take it. Don't even get me started on the booing last night. Like I can't. I went fucking nuts today on Bethany Frankel's Instagram post. I couldn't take it. Like she's in the right place. She was like, I didn't even see it yet, but I heard Taylor Swift got booed at the game. And I think it's just, she pretty much was like, she didn't say these words, but she was like, I think it's like really disgusting and like bad for our daughters that people are just booing this girl that hasn't done anything. And like,
except
why is she
support her boyfriend?
Well, okay. So I'm not supporting.
It was Eagles fans. And she's obviously represents the Chiefs, and they were booing anyone on screen. I was there, so before that, it would be like, hey, and they were just showing different fans. Every time there were Eagles fans, cheers. Every time there was a Chiefs fan, boos. And so when they put her up, it was obviously boos, but it wasn't even that I thought that was pretty disgusting. I was embarrassed, and I went fucking wild cheering and but then I was like, wait, could my cheer be like caught up with the boos? So I tried to go like high pitch, like, wee!
Doing a bunch of E's instead of O's.
Yeah, I was doing E's. But I was just like, get the camera off of her. Don't let this, like, whoever's operating the camera, like, they were bouncing around so quick to all the celebrities, but on her, they really left it a really long time, which I understand, it's Taylor Swift. But once this booze started, they should have got it off of her immediately. Don't make her sit and watch that and have to respond to it.
Her reaction is being widely celebrated online.
She's great. She did the right thing.
Yeah,
she looked so cute. I have to say that's like the one positive of them booing her.
She did, looked just side eyed and then smiling. Yeah, I just want to give her a hug. She do. I know it was. I just thought it was really embarrassing. And
so speaking of like the backlash against Taylor Swift, I think maybe you posted this. It was every single so I watched the halftime show, and I'm a huge Kendrick fan, and a bad night for Jews overall, but. Huge because Drake's a Jew, and this was like basically the capstone of his public execution was Kendrick Lamar doing the diss track at the Super Bowl. But I thought it was an amazing Super Bowl halftime show. I have a few criticisms, but overall amazing. Online, though, tons of people saying it was the worst halftime show they've ever seen. Was it you that posted the picture of all the...
It's so funny.
I mean, it's unbelievable. So... Nikki posts something on her Instagram stories. You can follow her at Nikki Glaser on
Just in case you didn't know.
I hope people don't think I made it. I found it on Reddit. If there would have been a creator attached to it, I would have posted it. But I figured the person who posted it was just stolen.
Yeah. Well, I was really mad by going on Twitter and seeing all these people like, worst.
Oh, Chris and I were like, what is going on? Because we witnessed it, and then we also it looks different on TV, but we also had a screen above our box where we were kind of like watching what it would be like on TV, and it was amazing. And it was just because people didn't recognize the music, and there were no white people in it, I guess. But the meme that I posted is just a bunch of like Twitter avatars that are like the circle, or Instagram avatars. And it's the circle, and it's just a bunch of like white men with big, sunglasses on.
Every single avatar, every single person who said this halftime show wasn't good was almost like the AI replicant of the same white man. I mean, it was the same guy, and they all had sunglasses.
All like aviators on. Yeah, I mean, that's like the classic 40s, 50s, like troll, MAGA troll look on these avatars. But it said, I didn't like the halftime show in quotes, and then it's just like all of these people. I mean, I have never gotten so many responses on an Instagram post since I said I was going to host the Golden Globes. Like, everyone is writing to me being like, this is hilarious. I mean, I think people know I didn't write it because it's clearly a repost, but it's so funny because it's so accurate. And people are really upset about it, I guess, and which is just delightful to me because it was fun. It was very like, Chris and I were just like, it was a celebration of America, and it was like a kind of an in your face, just like, response to everything that's happening now, but it wasn't too overt. It was kind of all kind of subliminal, and you have to really be paying attention, and you have to listen to the lyrics and like understand what he's saying. And I loved it. I thought it was so good. And I'm not even like a huge Kendrick fan. I am.
I have one critique of the halftime show.
I do too.
That's general, but I think we need to go to break, right?
Okay, we'll go to break and we'll go back to our critique after this. All right, we're back. What was your critique of the halftime show?
The critique of my halftime show, which I agree with some of the commenters, even though that there was clear ulterior motives. I miss when we used to have outrageously unrealistic mashups in Super Bowl halftime shows, when you would pull in like ridiculous combinations of stars that you would never see.
Britney Spears.
Yeah, exactly.
Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson.
Right. So like Kendrick and SZA, and then randomly one of the Williams sisters was dancing. Is that right? I didn't really see
Serena.
Serena was dancing.
She used to date Drake.
Yes.
Oh, so that nobody in my party knew that.
Yeah. I didn't know it either until I got home and talked to someone about it.
That's huge. That's amazing. That was like really amazing.
Yeah.
And apparently SZA also dated Drake.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, Drake is just, man, he is.
It's like a soap opera. I loved it.
He can't win. He should literally just start. He should retire.
I was thinking, like, what's he gonna do next? Like, it better be the greatest. It's so much pressure.
I mean, he should just fuck a kid so that he could retire. He should lean into it.
I don't, if there's certain groups that wouldn't mind.
Heel turn. That's the only move at this point is you take a heel turn and you're just like, yeah, I'm a bad guy, and go to jail. Like, you have to just become what they say you are.
You can just retire. Like, you're rich enough. Like, no one needs you to keep working. Like, I understand that he wants to keep creating, and he's probably an artist that craves putting his stuff out there. Just then go. I think at this point you have to like create a new person. You've got to like Sasha Fierce. Like, you have to do a different character because
he should be Sasha Fierce.
But I'm not really like sad for him. Like, like if he were to be forced into early retirement, he's at least got $300 million at least.
Yeah.
He's okay. Like, you could just stop doing it. We don't need more. I mean, I would hate if Taylor Swift stopped, and someone could argue the same thing, but not that she's being forced, but like, I don't think anyone needs to keep working after they've earned $100 million.
Other than the heel turn, here's what he can do. He can create a anonymous account on SoundCloud and release some unidentified tracks that don't say that they're Drake under a new name, and those
and
catch
then become
on.
Huge, and then be like, it was me the whole time.
Right, exactly.
And then we'd all lose our mind and eat crow.
Yeah. That's one way.
That would be cool. Yeah, I was waiting for some kind of like I was waiting for Taylor Swift to come out. I'm not gonna lie. I was watching her box the whole night because I had a pretty good view of it, and I saw her like dip out a little bit before halftime, and I was like, no way, because he was featured on Bad Blood, and then it got further and further in. I'm like, there's no way she's coming out. But
not this point. It was an amazing show. I took one prop bet during all prop bets are bets that are like about the stupid
funny,
stuff,
silly. Yeah.
I took one prop bet, and my prop bet was that the first song that Kendrick would sing would be "Squabble Up," and I was right. I called it. I mean, that was.
Were you so excited?
I mean, I started dancing and singing "Squabble Up," and it was amazing. I mean, out of all, like, so unlikely, like, it was just. I mean, one of the best moments of my life was.
I wanted more.
Him starting to sing
Serena.
"Squabble Up."
I wanted to see more of that.
On
it
TV,
was just so delightful.
It was a flash in the pan. On TV,
I know,
it was like 5
so
seconds.
fast. I mean, I've seen the clip over and over, and I'm like, yeah, like we could barely see it because we're like so high up, so we wouldn't have even know when it was her. It was so far away, you know. But yeah, I would have liked it to be on her a little bit longer because I was like, oh, that was really interesting and really, she just looked cool.
Yeah,
I was like. I was into it.
Where were you sitting?
We were sitting in a box seat on like not the farthest up, but like Taylor Swift's box was like above ours. So there's like 2 rows of boxes, and hers and Trump's were like above ours. We were in like the 300 level. She was in the 400 level, and we were in a box with Bill Belichick and his girlfriend Jordon, who I talked to for a really long time, and I really like.
Cool.
Nice.
She's going to get me on a supplement. We were talking about supplements and how just aging and how I feel
Tell
like
me
I'm
about this
cloudier.
supplement. I'm all about supplements now.
She's going to send me a list, and then she said that in 2 weeks my life is going to change.
A
she's
list
like,
of things that you should take?
She's going to send me a list of supplements that's all natural stuff because she's like really researched this stuff, and she was like, I'm going to.
What about those Chinese herbs? I haven't tried them yet, but I've ordered those Chinese. Have you stopped taking those?
You haven't tried them yet?
No, because I'm slowly.
I just like forgot.
Yeah. Yeah.
No offense to
That's the hard part about the supplements. It's like, they work. It takes, I would say give it 3 weeks because it takes 21 days for your blood to recycle.
Yeah.
But the hard part is just being consistent with it.
The only consistent one I take is Nutrafol. I take it every day, and if I skip a day, I think my hair is going to start falling out. So like, if you make it about my like vanity, I'll do it every day, no matter what.
So
like,
do you have a preview of supplements that she says you should take?
No, I'll let you guys know when I get it because she's like, a lot of judgment going on with that relationship. Just if I was everyone, it's fun to make fun because it's a huge age gap, and it's like. It's obviously like ripe for just punchlines. Like, why not? Even I've, been known to make them. And, but I learned some stuff that I'm like, oh, I'm going to shut my mouth and I'm going to not judge because, I know it's legit. And she, seems really, really happy. And she seems to have a really good head on her shoulders. And I think, people are just, they don't like things that look different to them, and women are. I will throw myself in that. I'm deeply threatened by men being tired of me once I age, and like how unfair it is that men get to age and then they get to just get younger women and throw us in the trash. And I think it's threatening to women a lot. That's why I think women hate it. I think then they make it about it's disgusting, it's gross, and I think it's hypocrisy. I think there's a lot of women that would be with older men when they were younger, for the advantages of just like security, being with someone who's mature and can like handle their success and not be threatened by it because they're not a young boy. There's a lot of reasons that women would want to be with an older guy, but they have to go, oh, I would never. I feel so sorry for her. That's disgusting. But I think it's like, once again, I think everything stems from a little bit of jealousy, and you could probably track it to like there's something about it that threatens your bottom line. And I know it threatens mine because I am fear that when Chris gets Bill Belichick's age, he could probably just go, if he's, successful and with it enough, he could probably go replace me with a 23-year-old that he meets on a plane or whatever. Like there's something about it that threatens me. So, but I'm Team Jordon. Yeah, it kind of would. That got get me horny again.
Yeah.
But then
how did you guys start talking?
She came up to me after the NFL honors. We were at the NFL honors on Thursday night. I saw her with him, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
What?
And what are you talking about?
We haven't even talked about that yet.
Oh yeah, the NFL Honors was on Thursday. Then I flew to Pittsburgh on Friday. So NFL Honors was in New Orleans on Thursday.
Yes,
I got in on Wednesday.
You
Thursday
flew on the private jet, which can we just have like a quick follow up? Like how
with
was
John
that?
Hamm and Shabuzi. It was John Hamm and Shabuzi, baby. Like it was.
So
John
what
Hamm
did you choose to do? Did you choose to engage in social activities for the flight, or did you do the 10 minutes of talking and then everyone takes a nap?
It was kind of that. It was like 25 minutes of talking and then like kind of like here and there, kind of in and out of talking, and like then like no sleeping because no one needs to see that. I would have had to get out my like disgusting pillow, eye mask. So I kind of just like closed my eyes. Like I was one of those girls that could just like lean back.
Oh yeah.
And like just like kind of look out the window and close my eyes with my mouth shut, and it would
like
stay that way.
Monk.
So yeah, I just pretended maybe, and then I was just like too anxious about everything I had going on, and it was a really nice jet though. NFL Honors really hooked up those who presented, and I was really just so appreciative that I got asked to do it because it was such a fun event. So then so it was like nice small talk. John Hamm and his wife are so nice. Shabuzi and his team these two guys that were with him were so nice. It was just like the nicest kind of people that you could be around.
Yeah.
And John Hamm and I and Chris are all from St. Louis, so we had that in common, and we talked about growing up in St. Louis, and his wife is really smart, really cool, really interesting girl, and had the best fashion. Like if she would have just been a stranger, I would have taken a picture of her outfit and said, Emily, let's source all of this. And by the way, she's not wearing socks. She's wearing no-show socks, and it seems to be fine, and it seems to look really, really good.
Shit.
And yeah. And I told Emily, and she was like, no way. And I was like, yeah, she was like, you should take a picture. I was like, there's no way I was going to sneak a picture of John Hamm's wife.
John Hamm's wife's socks.
There no lack of socks, and to prove that it looked cool, I couldn't do it. And her jewelry was cool. Like I wanted to take a picture of her the way she stacked her rings and her bracelets. Like she was just a very well put together person, as was John Hamm. I was like, got every little. His
John
shoes
Hamm
were
was
cool,
great.
His jeans were cool. His bag was cool. Yeah.
He got to be on the field and introduce the Chiefs, and he did a great job. And then Bradley Cooper introduced the Eagles. But John Hamm they were both amazing at introducing, and
I couldn't really tell because our screen had a delay, so like their voices was different than what they were saying.
It played well. John Hamm was like Fargo-esque John Hamm, where he had this like extreme aggression.
Pierce nipples.
Yeah, pierced nipples, big schlong, and an outdoor hot tub. John Hamm, he brought him out in style. Bradley Cooper had his daughter with him, so he had to tone it down slightly, but he was also amazing. That was a cool feature of the Super Bowl, which I don't recall seeing in the past.
Celebrities bringing out the teams,
calling them out as they come out of the.
Ooh, Samuel L. Jackson was a really cool part of.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Like narrating it.
Yeah,
doing like the Greek chorus throughout it. I thought it was so cool. Okay, so plane ride, land, go to hotel. Shabuzi, we're like right next to his room, and it's weird because I've been listening to that's Tipsy song for really all the time. Yes. And so Chris and I are constantly just going like, oh my good Lord, then pulling up another, like we're just always singing it, and that's just like how Chris and I operate. We just like sing all the time, little snippets of songs, and the amount of times I had to stop myself from singing that in front of him was innumerable, you guys. So I couldn't, I was like, I'm not even going to talk because every time I talk, I want to say, oh my good Lord, which by the way, I did have the thought that if our plane crashes or something bad happens, I know that if there was like, there's an engine failure and it was like, boom, we would just hear Shabuzi go, oh my good Lord. And that would have made it worth it.
There was another plane crash in Alaska.
I know.
Yeah, that's 3. Rule of 3 is that should be
okay. So it's over.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I just tell you what I've been doing for my own mind with the plane stuff that I think is really helpful?
Sure.
Yeah, and gives me a sense of control when there literally is none. Okay. So you guys know I believe in like manifestation and visualization and all that stuff. So I think a lot of times on planes when I get in my head about like, oh my God, it's going to crash, I like start picturing the crash. I start like picturing like all of a sudden a boom or like, a fucking helicopter chopping off half of the fuselage or whatever it is. I keep running like that moment through my mind and I'm like, oh shit. Like when you visualize stuff, it like fucking happens, right? Like that's how I manifest, is like visualization. I think I've talked about this before. Like, I just try to counteract that. So I just picture myself getting my bag at baggage claim in the city I'm going to, walking into my apartment, seeing my dogs, the cold air of the St. Louis, like whatever temperature it is. Like, I counteract all the visualizations with the visualizations of being home and how real that feels. And then I just know in my heart that that's what's going to happen. I just know it. And I don't know if it'll help you if you struggle out there with, flying and being scared, but when you have one of those thoughts, just counteract it with the thought of like, what's it going to look like when you land, when you walk past that Auntie Anne's in Terminal 3, when you are getting to your hotel. You might not know what your hotel looks like, but just like picture checking into a hotel with some jazz music playing in the background if it's New Orleans. You know what I mean? Like, try to picture the opposite of that, and that's what's given me some kind of control, because I gotta say my anxiety with flying has amped up 900%, which is 9 times the amount. Like, it's, and I'm already was at I'm very little anxiety on a plane. Like, I would almost say it's almost none. So going up to 900% is not a ton. I would say it's way less than most people's normal anxiety, but it's definitely more prevalent. It honestly feels like now, when I used to smoke weed before a flight, sometimes to be like, oh, I'm just, I'm not doing anything for the next 5 hours, I should smoke weed. I would have anxiety because I would start thinking about bad things, and my mind would wander. It's like that, but I'm not high. It'll go to that. And so it's just, that's been helping me a lot. And remembering that there's 48,000 flights a day and nothing happens.
Yeah, it's still the safest form of travel. You would be in more danger if you chose to drive to your gigs.
They don't report like all the car accidents that are happening at once.
No, they don't. And I'm not about to go on a tour bus. I heard some comedians like switched over from planes to buses because they're scared. And then I have so much more anxiety on a tour bus. When I was on Bert's tour, did I talk about this already?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, never mind. I had a feeling I already did.
You also had that this weekend.
Oh yeah, I did Bert's show. So anyway, went to Pittsburgh. So NFL honors on Thursday.
Yes.
Waiting for the car after the show, and it's like, a valet kind of area, but it's like a big, I mean, it's everyone that's in the show, all the athletes, which it's so many athletes. I mean, Chris was like, we were sitting right in front of, Roger Goodell was sitting literally in the seat in front of us in this theater. It was wild.
Wow.
He's not an athlete, but was he one at some point?
He's a financial athlete.
That's a good point. So, I just kept going, no turf.
You're trying to incept him?
That was actually before I knew about that.
He's got to be dreaming for that to work, though.
And so I was just hanging out during the NFL honors, Snoop made a joke about Belichick's girlfriend and him.
Oh,
and
shit.
Yes, so they cut to them, and she looked so hot. I loved her dress. I thought she looked amazing.
Oh my God.
And I really liked her. And people were saying there was like some backlash, which I don't really think there was. I think it was just like a fake headline where one person tweeted, "This is inappropriate for this event." And so they made a headline out of it and said, like, people are in an uproar about her outfit being too, inappropriate for this event. And it was so not inappropriate. If J-Lo wore it, everyone would be applauding her. Like, people just want to make her out to be just a sex object.
That's so funny how that's what the media is now, is they find one person's tweet and then they extrapolate that to the rest of the world's opinion.
And they say people are in an uproar. It's 2 tweets and they can say, NFL fans call for the,
FoxNews.com does that all the time. As you know, I have an account in FoxNews.com and I engage in the comments, but they'll say that. They'll be like, people hated what. Yeah. Did I not say that to you? Or is that
would be insane to go in there. I couldn't even imagine what that comment section
is. It's truly, the comment section is incredible. Like, it really has become a more tolerant place over the last, it's honestly, there has been a little bit, a surprising amount of like self-awareness in those comments. There's still like the usual, I think like most of the real extreme people are on X, and like FoxNews.com's comment section has a good mixture of opinions. Anyway, they'll do that all the time on FoxNews.com, where they say like people were really angry at blah blah blah's choice of words during this
and
thing.
they have like 2 tweets to prove it
of people who have like 6 followers each.
who are no one. Yeah, it's crazy. Please, everyone, be more savvy and know that when it says like people are upset about something, it's not based on literally anything.
It's hopeless. It's hopeless. We've talked about this with AI.
Besties are smart enough to like fucking.
People are not. We're done.
See through that. No, we're. I literally wrote on the Bethany Frankel thing. I said, it was so gross. The Taylor Swift booing. It was so gross. I said, and all of these comments. I love how hypocritical all these comments are. If any of you saw Taylor Swift on the street, you would scream, probably start crying, ask for a selfie. I said, America is cooked. I just learned that phrase. But I love it. And America is fully cooked.
Yeah,
and we're done. We're
ready to serve. Serve it up.
I'm only complaining now. I'm not looking for solutions, y'all. I'm just complaining. Like I'm through my I am immune to it. Like I'm immune to I don't let a lot of it in, but it found me because Grandpa had to show up at prom. That's how I felt when I found out he was coming to the Super Bowl. I was like, why is Grandpa coming to prom? No one this is a fun place. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm standing by waiting for the car. And then, so I had seen her on screen and I really liked her reaction to the joke Snoop Dogg made because she just like kind of like laughed and like just looked like classy and just handled it well. Wasn't like rolling her eyes or being like shocked. She just was like, really just classy stuff. And, so she came up and I go, oh my God. She goes, hi, I just want to say I love you or whatever, something really nice. And I go, oh my God, I know you. She goes, you do? And I go, I think so. And she was like, how? And I'm like, weren't you? I go, I think you're so like, you have such a great sense of humor about everything. And you're such, you just seem really cool. And like, I like you. And she was like, wait, why would you know me? And I was like, I go, tonight you were really cool when they put you on the screen. And she was like, I don't think you are talking about the same person. I go, oh no. And then I was like, almost scared that this woman was going to think that I thought she was Bill Belichick's girlfriend, even though I would be like, because I think most women are just like have a bad perception of her, even though they shouldn't. And I would be fucking honored if someone thought I looked like her. And then I was like, wait, this bitch shouldn't be embarrassed that I think that she's her. But then Chris looked at me like, I don't think you know who that is. And then she was like, yeah, well, I'm just here with my boyfriend, Bill. And I was like, wait, that is you. And she goes, I go, you were on the screen tonight. And she was like, I was? And I was like, yes. And you were so fun. Like, you laughed at it. And so then it was, anyway, she was a fan. She was like, and by the way, I was a fan before the Tom Brady roast. I knew who you were and all that. Awesome. Very, very nice.
It's like, no, my boyfriend, Bill Cower. There's another football guy.
Yeah. And so I met her there. And then when I found out she was going to be in the box, I was like, oh, great. Like, I have a rapport with her at least. And then she came to the box and I just was like, hey, Jordon. And then she just sat down and we talked for like probably 40 minutes, had a really good time talking. And like she had, she's someone that I will say, like, it's just on Girls Chat. We were talking about like when you meet someone and all they do is talk about themselves and they don't ask a single question about you. And how that's a very that thing that happens to everyone. And then if you do say something about yourself, they kind of just like stare at you and then have no follow up. And
or they'll make it about them.
Like, what'd you say?
Or they'll make it about them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And okay, let's be honest. Like, there are a lot of people that are boring, and maybe it would be hard to come up with things. Like, I can always come up with something to ask someone about themselves. Like, but I know that you should ask me some questions about, like, I've got a pretty interesting life. I don't think it's like, I know what it is, but on the paper, I think it looks interesting enough that if people have questions for me, I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, like come up with something. Like, but I know it's a struggle for, someone who might have like a job that like, they're a consultant of some sort. And you're like, I don't know what to say about that, but like, I got a lot to work with. So you should ask me. Anyway, she had so many questions for me, but it was really like interesting stuff about how I just handle being in this industry and how I cope with the judgment, or like kind of, related to the stuff she struggles with, but in a different way. And it got me really thinking about my career. She was like, athletes really focus on what's going to happen after they kind of age out of the business. Like they have a deadline. Their bodies like fail them at some point. And like as a woman in entertainment, because we were talking about aging, she was like, there's kind of an expiration date. It's not like explicit, but things drop off. She was like, do your agents like talk to you about a plan for like when that happens? And I'm like, no, they don't. And not because they're bad guys or because they're not good at their job or they're not trying to foresee the future. It's because it's like this unspoken thing. Like everyone likes to pretend it doesn't happen, right? Like athletes, it's kind of like even with athletes, I feel like it's kind of, you don't really want to talk about it. It's such a sad thing that it eventually happens. But retirement is a thing that's talked about. And like, what are you going to do after you retire? Because it's imminent. But within, as a woman in this industry where you turn 50 and everything dries up, including the roles for you and people wanting to see you on TV, everyone kind of acts like it doesn't happen. And so I said to her, we don't really talk about it, but I'm aware of it and I'm working on, that's why I'm taking months off to get a facelift and do things that are like going to keep my career going as long as I can on television. But I thought that was a really interesting point. She was like, well, they should talk about that with you. And I'm like, I think I might be offended if they did bring it up. But also, it is something that I'm planning for. And I just thought that's an interesting thing because we do have a shelf life. And I think models also probably don't get, their reps don't talk to them about it. Even though models, it's almost like, it's exactly like athletes.
Yeah.
You know? But I bet it's not even as, it's almost rude to bring up with women. Once
you retire from comedy, what are you going to do? Are you going to become a commentator?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do color commentary of comedian specials. But I think it's because it's rude. When women age, talking about women aging is rude. Whereas talking about a man aging is just a fact. And it doesn't, because it doesn't diminish what you are. It doesn't mean that people, it doesn't, it definitely sucks and you guys feel it and you become a little bit more invisible to the opposite sex, but it's not mean to say a guy is aging. It's like not a rude thing to say to him. Whereas a woman, it's like, you would never ever, you don't ask a woman her age. You don't talk about like, it's just unspoken. I think we just need to speak about it more. And I think it needs to be on women to also talk about it more too.
Sure. Men definitely have a better deal when it comes to aging. There's you remember the Bill Burr joke where he's like, men aging, once women get around children bearing age, then men start to surpass them in terms of how they age and how they're reacted to by society. But then once they get old, women just shoot above them and men become these like, they're like impossibly disgusting and they can't even think anymore. And women are like still playing cards and they're still with it. I don't think that's like the most, I would still take the man aging route, I think. But certainly when you reach a certain age, it's like my downstairs neighbor's in her 90s now and she still drives and she still has taken her dog out for walks. She's perfectly with it. I just can't imagine even meeting a man who's in his 90s who could even walk.
Yeah, it does. You guys seemed to become a little bit more helpless.
Yeah.
I was getting a ride from the airport actually from a really, really old man that was assigned to like pick me up. And I felt really bad for him because he was kind of like swerve, like it was like getting a drunk driver, honestly. Yeah. That's what it was, but it was like one that I couldn't say, "Hey, this isn't okay."
Yeah.
Because it would have been ageist.
Yes.
So
he was old and drunk, this guy. So.
It could have been, but yeah. I did get a joke out of it because his mouth was doing that like dry mouth thing. Where I was just like it was like, it was real like every time. Yeah. Which is like an old man kind of thing. He was very sweet. And I think I kind of at one point was like, just get over, like, because it was like such bad traffic in New Orleans, and I had like this 3-hour window to take a nap, and I had not slept the night before, and I'm like just looking at the clock, like watching the Uber go from like 20 minutes to 25 minutes, then 27 minutes, and I'm like, if he doesn't get over, it's gonna add another 36. It was just like, and I was just like, no, like now, like get over now, and I felt like so bad, but I had to kind of like. Yeah, but he was just too scared to get over it. I'm like, you just gotta get like you gotta. There was a space that where the car is like kind of a guy's on his phone. He doesn't look, so he leaves a big space.
Yeah,
and that's when you go in. Yeah, you gotta get in.
You gotta assert yourself. But
I felt bad. I was like, that's gonna be karma. I shouldn't like snap at an old man. And I wasn't rude, but I did like kind of get an urgency that I'm sure he didn't appreciate. But then, what a gift was given to me by his chappy mouth because it ended up being a punchline later on. Not about him, but I compared my vaginal dryness to like the sounds of his mouth, and it got a good laugh.
So just to let you know, it might not be dry mouth. It also could be dentures. People make that same noise when because they're not, their teeth keep moving around. It's like a nightmare, and they have to keep, especially when they first get them.
Okay, that's a good point. I think it was that. Yeah, like when you don't have teeth, your mouth has to constantly do that.
Yeah.
You have to do that a lot. I do know that.
Yeah.
And I have empathy for it because I'll be there someday too. So I felt a little bit bad because I was like, I'm going to be old and not really know when to turn and not know how to turn on, like not know how to operate the van door. Like I can't get mad at this. Is just not fair because hopefully we'll all be there. I think there's going to be a climate disaster before I'll reach that age, but or like, a civil war in which I'll literally shoot myself right away because I don't want to live in war. But that's why I want a gun for the Civil War, is just to turn on myself.
The moment that they declare it, you're like, okay.
I'm sorry. I shout out to everyone who's been through war and survived it. I'm not doing it. I don't want to live through it. It seems like so terrible. It seems like, and then once you get through it, you're scarred for life. Yeah. No, thank you. I'm out. And so then anyway, back to the NFL honors. My gosh, really just all over the place. But I will say that, we have to go to break. So I'll tell you about the Super Bowl. I guess I have the Burt Show to talk about and the Super Bowl when we get back after this. So then I get back I go to Pittsburgh. Amazing show. Shout out Pittsburgh.
I really liked your Instagram story when you were writing. It's like almost like ASMR in a way, where you were writing "Great Show Pittsburgh."
Thank you. I really liked it too. Isn't that? Thank you. I shot it like late at night when I got back to my room, and I was like binging on Skinny Pop, and I was like, this is kind of a fun thing. I think I would watch that over and over because I love watching people write and I love the sound of it. And it was like a really good pen, and I had the right amount of pieces of paper underneath it. So it made this really nice sound. Because if you're someone who knows what I'm talking about with ASMR, like if it's like too chunky of a pad, it's not as good of a sound. Like you need the desk like kind of under it with like two pieces of paper on top and maybe like a mat underneath it. So it was like a good sound. And then I realized I cannot write. Like, there's no way for me to write without, like, I've forgotten how to write. It's going to look like shit. So I have to go back and put in the TTSBUR. Like, your muscles atrophy, I think.
Yeah. I relate to this so much. I had to write a birthday card this weekend, and I was like, my penmanship is disgusting.
It's
my Y's and T's are like stuck together. It's
like guitar. Like, if you set it down, like
it's like guitar. I can't even write guitar.
Yeah. That's a hard word if you just write. Like you think that writing is so ingrained in us, but it like really isn't. Like I forget how to do it.
Nothing's ingrained in us.
No, it isn't. Everything can be changed. Yeah. You can it's kind of nice that we're completely malleable.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's like stuck in us.
It's both our greatest strength and our greatest weakness. Yeah.
I love that. So I wrote "Thank you Pittsburgh" on a pad of paper, and then I posted on my story. And I will do more of those because I enjoyed it too. Thank you for that feedback, Brian. But the show was amazing in Pittsburgh. It was.
Who opened for you there?
Tommy Brennan. Oh, the guy that I talked about on here. Remember when I was like, I saw this guy this morning on Instagram Reels, and I like was so impressed by him.
Yeah, now I remember. But what was it? What did he post on Reels?
It was a joke about Moses, I think in the 10 Commandments or something. And it was there was there's a joke about like, it's like, thou shalt not like covet thy neighbor's wife or whatever. Or covet thy, Oxen? And he's like, that one sounds like pretty specific. Like we know what was going on in his, like the other ones are like, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not lie. That one's like really specific. So and they're like, is someone banging your wife? He's like, no. Are you sure your neighbor isn't? Like it's something. It just was so good. And I just, like you just get a sense about someone when you watch a clip of them that they're going to be a certain way. Like I think I have a sixth sense about when someone's going to be my friend. Like, I think I might not be the best at anything, but I'm pretty much the best at determining when someone's going to be a friend of mine, almost like right away, like love at first sight kind of thing with friends. And I just was like, I think I want to be friends with this person. And so, not only was he so funny, he just seemed kind. And boy, was I right. You're going to love this guy, Brian. He's awesome.
Where is he
he's
based?
One of us. He's in New York.
Where's he
He
from?
works at the Cellar a ton. He's from Minneapolis originally.
Oh, okay.
Then
Good
he went
Midwestern
to
guy.
Chicago. He's from a family of 8 kids, Catholic family.
Whoa.
Really just kind, funny, nice. Was so appreciative of like all the perks of working with me on the road. Like Emily was like, Tommy's so sweet. She was like, I asked for his dinner order and he's like, man, usually I'm just like scrounging for snacks backstage. Like I get an actual meal that I get to choose what I want. And, I was like, what do you want from Starbucks? He's like, whoa, really? And I'm like really just sweet.
And it reminds you too, that stuff like that novelty, that reaction reminds you of how like, oh yeah, what I have is actually special.
And it makes me feel good. Like I love treating people kindly, but I love a good, I love seeing that I never am waiting for it. Like, why isn't anyone thanking me? Like, I really don't seek that out because I just know all the people that I surround myself with are good people that are thankful. I've never felt taken advantage of, but it is nice to see that initial, whoa, that's cool. And just a sweet kid. And my cousin Maggie came backstage and he hung out and with her, instantly just fit in the groove. Was really, really nice. And I just had so much fun. A new friend in comedy is always a new young friend in comedy that kind of injects.
Yeah. Is he in his 20s?
An appetite for comedy. I think he's 29.
Whoa.
At least he said his girlfriend, who is also, I think they're out. I don't mean to out them, but she's a writer on SNL. And I think he said she's 29 too. So I assume he's 29. But her name is Casey. I forget her last name. But she's really, really funny. And she's written for SNL for a few years now. So she's a savant, comedian savant girl. And yeah, he was just really nice, and it was so much fun. And he said that besties have been coming to his shows and stuff, and reaching out to him. So it was so nice that you all supported someone that I kind of gave some flowers to. It's so cool.
That's amazing.
Oh, final thought. I wanted to share a thing that I cannot believe. This was insane to me. This was so exciting. I was on Reddit. I follow the Reddit podcasts because I'm always looking for new cool podcasts to listen to, which, by the way, podcast recommendation. That is not a comedy podcast. It's not going to take away traffic from ours. It is a podcast that has been talked about so much on the girls chat, Telepathy Tapes, or as Sarah Lena calls it, Telepathy Tapes. Because it is hard to read that word and say it right. I will attest to it. You want to say telepathy. Well, Telepathy Tapes is so good. It's about nonverbal autistic kids who can communicate, who are telepathic with their mothers often or with each other. And you guys, it's fucking nuts, and it's very well documented, and it's thousands of them. And it's it's a real thing. They have telepathy. There's they do all these experiments. They show you all the control settings for it so that they're not cheating. There's nothing and these people, these kids that don't speak and use an iPad to talk, their mother is given a random word from a word generator and they fucking type it out. And their mother's across the room thinking it, numbers up to 3 digits, and they give them dozens of these and they get it right 100% of the time.
Whoa, it's like a counting. Never mind.
And I'm only 2 episodes in, and so I'm so excited to keep going on it. But Telepathy Tapes, I finally gave in because Anya was raving about it, and then Sarah Lena was I can't sleep, you guys, because I'm scared that something like this exists. I'm alone in my house, and even though it's not a creepy podcast, the fact that something is so out of this world and out of the physical realm that and scientists won't even address this because they can't.
They have that
can't
with
measure.
twins
They can't.
too. Sometimes, do you know any twins?
Yeah.
Sometimes they experience this.
It explains why sometimes when you're thinking of someone, they'll call you. I mean, I think a lot of that's a coincidence, but I do think, I know for sure now that there's something else going on. There is something that these kids are tapping into. There's a frequency out there, a radio frequency that they are on that we are not.
Well, there's more,
there's just no question. If you listen to this,
our senses are limited, and we're only interpreting the data of what our limited senses can intake. So there's
and the
a
fact
lot
that
else.
they can't talk opens theirs up or something. I don't know.
Colors don't exist. They're just an interpret. They're vibrations.
Try to explain the color red to a blind person. You can't. You don't even know what to say. You're well, it's like a rose, and you're well, fuck. There's literally no way to. It's such an interesting thought experiment.
And one thing that also makes me feel comfortable is that you can think the same way you think about colors. You can think about time. Time doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
Is simply
also
your
money.
brain's interpretation of vibration. So
it also gives me,
maybe everything is happening at once.
Oh, or it's happening in different, that's what manifestation they think it is. It's like when you visualize something, you are tapping into the, what's it called? The universe. There's like, infinite different things happening at once, where dimensions where you are living a life where that could have gone the other way, right? And when you are manifesting, when you picture a dimension, you are tapping into that quantum realm and finding that dimension and making it happen in your life. So there is a dimension where I'm dying in a plane crash. There is a dimension where I'm landing safely in St. Louis. There is a dimension where I'm manifesting that $1 million or that call from that crush or whatever, all the things that people try to manifest, and you tap into that and then you make it happen, because they found that scientists were like able to study the things on a molecular level, and when they looked at the molecules, they could see them, but when they didn't, they couldn't see them. So if you picture it, you can see it. Things would appear that you could only see once you were looking at it. I don't know.
It's both a particle and a wave.
Yeah, but also Joe Dispenza's book, that taught me all about that. I found out he's a quack. So I don't know. I still believe in manifestation, but
I don't. Now. He turned into a duck. He manifested it.
Yeah, he manifested it. So anyway, I'm on the podcast subreddit, and I see. Let me pull it up. I was going to send it to you guys.
The podcast of Telepathy Tapes.
Yeah, no. It's called just podcasts. One second. Sorry.
By the way,
the main one.
Speaking of Reddit, my someone posted once again my Ford F-150 Big Al cartoon on Reddit. It went viral, and of course, they cut off my.
Oh my god, they
tag.
did.
Yeah, and I'm not referenced in it at all. But it's nice to know at least that that's the second time it's gone viral on Reddit without me getting credited. But at least people think it's funny.
And while you're looking that up, so for Super Bowl, I didn't really do anything except Brian invited me to join his Super Bowl boxes, and I had no idea what that was.
Yeah,
so
I didn't either.
I was like, okay, fine. So I sent him like $40, and I ended up winning $50.
That's right.
Nice.
But the coolest thing was that, so I always knew that Brian was an animator, but I didn't know that you could draw. Your boxes was so cool. Like the chart, he made a little.
I give everybody a personalized little like logo essentially for their box.
Cool.
Noah was a cactus.
I was a cactus.
Yeah.
I love that.
She's in Arizona.
Yeah.
And I'm so much a cactus.
Yeah, a prickly cactus filled with water.
Yeah.
I will say that it's not lost on me that I just complain about people not asking about other people, and I haven't asked about your guys' weekends at all. But it's just because the podcast is what it is. If this were a conversation, exactly, we just don't have enough time. And I'm sorry. I promise, if Brian, me, and Noah were at lunch, this would not be the conversation.
Well, let me say one thing, and that is box related. So, huge success. The boxes were a huge success. It was the biggest pot I've ever done. It was $20 a box, so it wound up being a $2,000 pot, which means the winner of the final would get $1,000.
Whoa!
Noah won the 5-5, which is when your box is 5 and 5, which is the worst possible box you can get. So I give someone $50 for you having basically no chance of winning at all.
Okay.
But first,
so is that cheating? Did you put me there on purpose?
No, the numbers are selected randomly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. So I feel good again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the prizes are awarded per quarter. First quarter is the least. The half is the second most. Third quarter is the third most. And then the big prize is the final. And the winner of the final this year, winning a cool $1,000, was Bill Dixon.
Good for Bill.
Yeah, Bill Dixon pulled it in.
You know what? Fuck yeah. I love that guy. I actually met two people last night from Love is Blind, and then they both were on The Bachelor, and they were like, Nikki, we know Bill Dixon. And I was like, oh my God, isn't he the best? And we just like sang Bill Dixon's praises, which Bill Dixon was a producer on Bachelor, and then he was a producer on F-Boy Island.
EP.
He's one of my best friends.
Creator.
Creator. Sorry, creator of F-Boy Island, but executive producer on Bachelor. And I originally saw Bill because Hannah's season, she was getting out of a car and like tripped on the sidewalk, and I saw a producer run out to help her. And I was like, oh my God, that like never happens. Producers are always just like pushing people down. You know, they're not like helping. And I like posted about it on my story, I think at the time, or Twitter, or whatever was happening at the time this aired. And I was like, this guy is amazing. Who is this? I love seeing this. You never see this. Like, bravo to this producer for like being a real human. And then years later, Bill was like, hey, you posted about me once. I was like, I remember you.
Yeah.
And Bill also has a viral tweet that always gets recirculated. That's when he was a waiter, he waited on Ludacris, and Ludacris sent back some spring rolls, and Bill went back to apologize for the spring rolls not being good. And he was like, he just said, yeah, sometimes spring rolls are like that or something like that. And Bill said, and I think about it at least once a week. And Bill was the original person that did the joke that you see all the time on Instagram that's like, and I thought about it every day ever since. Whenever you see that line of like, and I've thought about it at least once a week the rest of my life, that's someone copying a joke format. That's not original. Throwing up in your mouth is a little bit isn't original.
Checks notes.
Lives rent free in my head is not original. It's not funny. The first person who said it was, but everyone else has not been. And so Bill Dixon was the first person to say, and I've thought about it every day ever since. That I know that would blow my mind. If I wasn't a comedian, it would blow my mind that was a written thing that someone had to conceive of first, and that everyone else said no one ever. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like, just look out for those things. Like, people that use those aren't funny. They're like copying people who are funny. Anyway, but you shouldn't be mad at them because they're just not funny.
They're
people.
just trying.
They don't know.
Trying to live their
That's
lives.
like me going like, womp womp, or like doing a musical thing that someone's like, well, someone originally composed
that was
womp,
Dizzy
womp.
Gillespie's
Gillespie.
Yeah.
Dizzy dyslexics.
Yeah.
So wait, by the way, can we just real quickly like tell me your thoughts on the game and like what a blowout? I mean, I was on a group chat with you, so I kind of saw your thoughts on it. But
yeah, well, quick thoughts on the game is that it was really boring. Just like, I mean, no offense, but like every Chiefs game this year has been boring. They've just slowly win games every time, and it was interesting because even when they're losing in a blowout, it was boring, and you could see in the very end of the game, when Patrick Mahomes threw that bomb to Xavier Worthy, that it was within the Chiefs as an organization to be exciting this year. And for whatever reason, whether it was just sheer confidence or they didn't want to show their hand too early, they never tapped into that, like, I would say, like, pure just playing the game that I'm used to seeing from the Chiefs, who are used to be like the most exciting team to watch.
I was wearing all Chief stuff, so people were looking at me like, sucks to be you. And I was like, I don't really care. To be honest with you, I don't care. I also am happy for the Eagles because I like that the owner donated to Kamala and he did some other cool stuff that was like on the right side of things. So I thought he was cool. And I like Philadelphia a lot. I think it's like one of my favorite cities of all time. Yeah. I don't know about Eagles fans or whatever people think about them, but so I didn't really care, and I just look cute in red, and I'm a Swiftie. Like, and I know Travis and I know Randy Mahomes. Like, it doesn't matter why I cheer for whatever, but I will say that I felt bad for them in the last quarter when it was kind of like the game is over. Like, how I know this happens all the time, but like I was looking at Chris like, why don't they just say, just take it? Like, you have to like keep trying. It's like so embarrassing that you like, it's almost like when I'm bombing really bad on a set and you have to like do your time and you're like, these people don't want it. The people in the audience hate me. They want to go home or wherever, go back to their hotel rooms because they're at a conference where they were like, I was thrust on them because it's a corporate gig. But I still have to do my time. And it's like, what, can we just all agree that this isn't going well? But instead I have to keep trying. And do I keep trying? Like, do I give it my all? Will it change anything? Like, at what point was it like so far gone that there was no coming back? Like, when would you say that was the point?
Oh, halftime. I mean, no team has ever come.
Oh my God. Yeah. Really? But didn't the Patriots come back from like a
28-3
point? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 28-3. There was 27-3 at halftime. It's so interesting because, people say that Mahomes is the greatest of all time and not Tom Brady. Although the one time that they faced off in the Super Bowl, or the one time they faced off in the Super Bowl, Tom Brady won. So head to head. But then also it's like Mahomes is down by 24 points at halftime in the Super Bowl. No one's ever been able to come back from that type of deficit except one person, and he happened to be announcing the game. And it must have taken so much composure.
Oh, I was so happy for Tom Brady. Like, I was sad for everyone associated with like the Mahomes family and like, all the people that Chiefs fans, like, you're sad for them. Like, people whose happiness depends on this. It sucks.
Winning
but
a 3-peat
I was like,
nice.
Tom Tom Brady's happy right now, and I'm on board with that. Like, Tom gets to keep the GOAT title for now. Like, it doesn't. It's not going anywhere. This was, and I was dying to have been at home to hear his commentary, because I bet his voice would have gotten like so much more chipper and like excited throughout, like towards the end. Like, was there a noticeable like elation that you could sense in his voice?
Hard to tell. I mean, there's not a lot of range, but he did. Tom Brady though did reference the roast.
That's right, in a commercial, a
Duracell commercial, very self-deprecating, where Tom Brady is. They made it seem like we were just cutting to them in the booth, so like it wasn't a commercial. And then Tom Brady like shuts down like he's a robot, and we're all like, "What the fuck? This is supposed to be the game."
That's funny.
And then they come in, and the Duracell experts like, "We need to check his batteries." They open up his arm, and he's got non-Duracell batteries, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? This is the Super Bowl." They put Duracell batteries into his arm.
That's funny.
He turns back on, and then Kevin, I forgot his last name, the other announcer, says, "Tom, are you okay?" And Tom Brady goes, "Why has everyone been asking me that since the roast?"
That's great. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Good for him, because he could have been like, "No, we're cutting that line." Okay, so we have to go. You're going to have to listen to tomorrow's episode to find out what I saw on the subreddit podcast. That is very interesting to me, but I know you'll be there tomorrow. You guys always are. Thank you for listening today. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't be good. Bye.